I'm going to give you guys an example of how I do these Q&As. So these bi-monthly Q&As, or sorry, every 2 weeks or so that we do these Q&As. This is where you'll get to ask me questions and I'll get to actually answer you live, so you'll get the answer that you need. So this person asked me a question on my YouTube channel though, and I want to answer it now. So it's, he said, "Hey coach, I keep getting ghosted with online dating. I don't have trouble getting lots of matches, but I have to be saying something wrong. As soon as I set up a date and time and I stop texting, they lose interest and ghost. I've been on dates with only 2 girls in the last few months. I know I have to be messing up somewhere. Thanks in advance." I always tend to ask questions when people ask me questions so I can get better clarification. So I asked them, how long do you talk or text with them before asking them out? And when you ask them out, how do you normally do it? i.e., what's your full asking out sequence? And so in the Membership Academy, I actually go through a whole sequence. For example, in the Smart Digital Dating program, I talk about what the sequence is for asking a woman out and for setting up the date, and then for when the date should happen. So that way you're going to have a better chance of a woman actually showing up when you set up the date. So anyway, he said, I usually chat with them about a day or two, and then I go straight to asking for the date. Now that's actually great because I do the same thing. I'm usually able to get a date. Honestly, usually if I'm talking to a woman, like say I match up with her in the morning, usually by that night or the next day, we're on a date. Like I don't really waste a lot of time. At most, I'll talk to him for a couple of days, but then I'm trying to set up a date as soon as possible because I want to get him out in person where we can do tactile stuff. So that part's great. He says, I get a lot of yeses, but the dates are usually planned a few days to a week in advance. Soon as the date is planned, I stop texting and I usually get ghosted after that. Can it be because I don't continue the convo and my asking sequence goes like, I'm free Mondays and Wednesdays. Let's go for a picnic, dinner, ice cream, etc. I get plenty of yeses, but they lose interest, unfortunately. I've been on multiple dates already with 2 and had a great time. As long as I can get my foot in the door with these women, I know I can keep them around. The hard part is landing the date. Should I continue the convos a few days longer before actually meeting for the first time? Maybe a quick video chat before the first date. I rarely have done video chats before a date. And usually when I have, usually the times that I've done that, it's usually resulted in me not going further with the date. And admittedly, if you're not interested in them on a video chat, you're probably not going to be that interested in them in person. But I find just something about being able to see somebody in person typically is more effective in terms of the attraction process than trying to do a video date and chat. That's just been my experience. Other people have probably had a better experience doing video chat thing. I just have not been the one. I'm usually like, hey, let's set up a date. Let's go meet in person. And then the first time I see him in person is when I see him in person, not over video chat. But anyway, he asked, so then I asked him, why are you planning the date so far in advance? Because he says he's setting up the dates for like a few days to like a week in advance. And he said, I'm busy with work. Those are really my only days I have available. Although he didn't really say what days he has available. But he says also because when I plan a date, I already have another date planned before that ends up flaking. So I end up with no date. Okay. So anyway, I want to answer this question. So let's go back to the thing about the setting up the dates. So here's the thing is that when you set up a date, at that point, you got to figure like the woman's engine is now started. So at the point where you said, hey, let's go on a date, let's go out. Her next gear is like, great. He asked me the date. Now the date's going to happen. And so if you ask her, say on a Wednesday for a date for next Wednesday, that engine over time can start to cool down. And to the point where that gives her a week, A, for her engine to cool down, but B, also for like, if you're meant to go on a dating app, that gives her time in the week for other guys to hit her up and ask her on a date. So let's say you hit her up on a Wednesday and ask her for next Wednesday. Well, by Monday, she could have talked to a guy that had a better date idea or was just able to do it a lot faster. And now she's already been on a date with that guy. Maybe she's feeling him a little bit. And now she's like, that other guy I was talking to, he was cool, but like, I went on a date with this guy already and I'm already feeling the thing. So I don't want to ruin this thing by trying to go out with the one over here now. And so what I typically advise is this, is that you asking him out on dates, very great. I'm glad you're doing it because a lot of guys don't make that step, but you need to be either asking for the date closer to a time when you can do it a lot faster, or figure out a way to have communication going while you're waiting for the date to happen. So for the first example, right? Let's say you're talking to a woman and you know that you're not free to see her until Tuesday and it's Wednesday, right? So you got to wait until that next Tuesday to come around to take her on a date, right? So I would err on the side of keeping your conversation to texting on the dating app. And I know I tell people all the time, texting kills attraction, but that's usually after you've met the person in person. Prior to, especially on dating apps, your main modus operandi is going to be texting and communicating. But that doesn't mean you got to be on the app with them like 24/7 either. You can do like 5 or 6 texts a day and be good. But you text her from that Wednesday until that, say, to that Saturday or Sunday, and then say, hey, why don't we go out? I'm free Monday or Wednesday. Now, if she says Monday, well, you're texting her this question on a Sunday. It's only one day. And psychologically, she can wait a day to see you. Her having to wait 7 days is going to be a little harder. Not that she can't do it, but it's going to be harder for her to not get an interference in that time. The other option is, let's say you're talking to a girl on Wednesday and you can't go on a date with her until the next Wednesday, right? So you could do this. You could text her a little bit, and then on that, I don't typically try to ask for dates on Fridays and Saturdays, but if you're texting her on the online dating apps, say you hit her up on like a Saturday afternoon saying, hey, I want to take you out. I'm free next Wednesday or Monday, which again is still a lot closer to when you can actually take her out. And she says, sure. So you set the date up for like Wednesday, but now it's Saturday. So that gives you Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 3 days, right? And again, I talk about this in the program. You can play certain games with women on these dating apps that will keep them intrigued. I, for example, like do the 20 questions game. I say, hey, so while we're waiting for our date to happen, how about a rousing game of 20 questions? Very simple. I'll ask you a question, you answer it, you ask me back a question, and we get to learn a bit more about each other. And you ask her like 3 or 4 questions a day. By the time you get to Wednesday, you'll be done with the 20 questions, and then the next day is your date. So she's still being engaged with you. And it's, again, still keeping her in the thing of like, oh, the date's coming, the date's coming, the date's coming. And so you're still interacting versus like saying, great, we got a date. And I set it up on Wednesday for next Wednesday. And I'm going to go dead for her for the next 7 days. That can make a woman feel like either A, you're slowly not building interest, or you just are just pushing her to the wayside like she's not that important. And you don't want a woman on a dating app to feel like you asked for this date and now all of a sudden you're brushing her off, or you set up a date and now, and even if you are dating other women, she doesn't want to feel like she's at the bottom end of the list. So if you're talking to her on a Wednesday, setting up a date for next Wednesday, and then you don't talk to her, she's going to feel like she's starting to get to the bottom of the list, and you don't need that. All right. So hopefully that can help you out. Is that again, try to set these dates closer to when you can go. I don't care if you met her on a Wednesday and you can't go until next Wednesday. Ask her out on Monday so it won't be so far apart. The closer you are to me, because I'll tell you, I ask women on dates and get same day dates. Because I'm like, hey, why are we fooling around? You got to eat. I got to eat. Let's go get some dinner. Let's go get some pizza and just chat it up while we got time. Like, why are we messing around? And that takes me anywhere between like the same day to, at the most, I'll talk to them for like 2 days. But I don't spend like an exorbitant amount of time on dating apps just talking and talking, because that's what 95% of other men on these dating apps are doing, is just talking and then saying, hey, we should go on a date. And the woman's like, great, that's a great idea. And then the guy's like, awesome. So I'll hit you up next week to ask you where you want to go. Don't be that guy. Always have a plan, know where you want to go, and ask closer to when you can go, because you're the guy that's setting the agenda. So she's looking for you to set the time and set the agenda. And if you're setting an agenda that's like a week out, some women will stay around for that, but most are going to be like, I want to date like now, and I can try to wait a week, but I'm not going to stop going out with other people while I'm waiting for you. So hopefully, guy, that can help you out. Thank you so much for watching this episode. And please, I cannot stress enough, go to the website, check it out. You get the first 2 days free. If you like it, keep on. If you don't like it, then you don't get charged anything. But I think you're going to get a lot of value out of the Introvert Dating Success Membership Academy. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Introvert Dating Success Podcast. Visit us at introvertdatingsuccess.com for more great tips on attracting women using your natural introvert charm. Oh, yeah.